Welcome to Ion Connecticut. I'm your host, Mike Savino, and today we're going to be looking at who runs for office locally and trying to get more diversity among candidates who are running for office. And for part one of this episode, we're talking with Suzette DeBeetham Brown. She is the mayor of Bloomfield. Suzette, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So Suzette, just to help our listeners get acquainted, how long have you been mayor and what prompted you to run in the first place?
So I'm in my second term, in my fourth year. I never thought that I would run for public office. I've always served, whether it's my church or my town. Before running for office, I served on committees. I was the chairperson for the Community Awareness Task Force. My husband and I are the chaplains for the Bloomfield Police Department. But about 3 years ago, almost four now, we were talking about Trayvon Martin. We were talking about racial profiling of African-American young men. I am a mom, proud mother of two wonderful daughters and one amazing son. So I started lending my voice to those conversations, the importance of looking, at everything through an equity lens, making sure that we're not being adversely affected because of the color of our skin, especially for our Black boys. And so I would have any meeting that I was a part of, I would definitely amplify that message. I was asked to be a part of a slate, and I first said no. And then after thinking about it, after being asked again, I said yes. But one of the things that I thought was going to be easy was asking the then incumbents to mentor some of the people that were running for office. Give us a couple seats, let us run on your ticket so that we can bring in the new, celebrating the, what is, and having some training. And they said no. They did not want anything to change. They believed that they had the right to be there because they served so long. One person said to me, power is never given, it's always taken. And so there was a slate of six, and there was a primary. We thought we would have gotten a couple seats during the primary. We got all 6 Democratic seats during the primary. And that's what started me here.
And you said, prior to that, you hadn't considered running. Being a Black woman, was that a factor at all, that you did not see that? You didn't see a lot of politicians, especially on the local level, like yourself, and that did you feel like that was a space for you, or why did you not feel like running?
So most of the politicians, as you know, are elderly white men. I've heard of Kerry Saxton Perry. I was really young when Kerry Saxton Perry was in office. But I heard of Veronica Erie Wilson. And she was a friend of my mom. And as you know, she was on the Court of Common Council in Hartford. And I saw her and I was like, wow, she seemed larger than life. But she seemed like she was really servicing her community. And I think it was after the second time I was asked to run for office. And I'm thinking, oh, it's just men, whether it's older white men or African-American men. I didn't see a space, right, for someone like me. But the second time that I was asked and I started to put some thought into it, I remember Kerry Saxton Perry, but Veronica Erie Wilson came so forcefully to my mind. And I'm thinking, wow, if I could be half of the community servant that she is, I think I'd be able to do a good job. And that's one of the reasons why I made the decision, right? Because once again, here in Bloomfield, I'm the first Black Caribbean-born female mayor, leader of the council. So to envision yourself where you've never really seen yourself is scary. And you have to sometimes make that decision, because if you feel like what you have to offer is worth something, then you make the decision and you make it scared. And then you go out there and you try to gain support. You have the support of your family and your friends, but it's the support of the community that you have to gain. And it was difficult because in the primary, we're running against people that were in council for years. And at that time, there was no woman on the council. It was 6 Democratic men. So it was a little intimidating. It really, really was.
And you mentioned that you were hoping for some training. They obviously didn't give that to you, or some kind of grooming protege program. How as somebody who of any color who doesn't get into politics, I mean, how scary is that, and how beneficial do you think that would be? I mean, we're going to talk to the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities about their program that they're doing. How beneficial is that to people who've never run before? Suddenly you show them what it's like to not just run, but then what to do once you get in office. And especially for underserved communities who don't feel like that's a space, how important is that to have a tool like that to show you, no, you can run, you can do this, this is what it's like?
I think it's so important, right? It's almost saying to someone, here is a gun, right? And I use a gun because there's so much force behind a bullet. And there's a decision that you have to make intentionally, and not showing the person how to use it, right? So there's a couple of things. I believe that the training would have been beneficial. I believe that the acceptance from the incumbents to say, yes, we're open to new leadership would have been great, right? It would have boosted your confidence level. It would have helped in so many ways. But I can tell you that CCM does provide training for elected leaders. Thank goodness. And the training that they provide is so needed. I mean, just like how to conduct a meeting, the FOI laws, something that I had no clue about. I know that I'm passionate about serving my community. I know that, if we had different policies, it would be able to help us as a diverse community. So, all those things. You are excited and you're passionate, but there's so much more that you need to know. You need to know how to run a legal meeting. You need to know the things that you can discuss and the things that you can't discuss in executive session. You need to know what the FOI laws are. There's a lot of things that you need to know that goes beyond passion. And I think training, I think mentoring is so needful and helpful, especially for Black and Brown people who don't believe that they have a space at the table.
And I'm sure you anticipate the counter to this would be that, of course, politics is about merit. It's supposed to be about the best candidate wins. There's no legal reasons why Black and Brown candidates can run. So, I mean, what would you say to that? Hey, I mean, they just got to get over that. They got to run, get out there and gain the same experience, the same way a white candidate would.
Right. And that's what we did, right? So I would say, do it scared. If you have a passion for your community, and if you have the desire to give voice to people who don't feel like they have voice, to be able to help to set the agenda and not just be on the agenda, if you have that desire for your community, do it. It's time for us to not be so scared anymore. It's scary knocking doors. It's scary asking for money. But if you believe in yourself and you can get the support of your community, do it. Because the community is looking for people to be able to speak on their behalf. And I think that's the important thing. We deserve to be at the table. And what we have to offer is needed and necessary. Take advantage of every program, every training, every conference, and do it. That's just my encouragement. You want to serve your community. You have a servant heart, and start. Maybe on the library board or the Board of Education, if that's where your passion is. Start by volunteering. Start by attending your either your DTC, which is your Democratic Town Committee, or your RTC, your Republican Town Committee. Get some of the information and the experience of politics, right? But don't shortchange yourself and or your community by not throwing yourself in the ring if you have the heart and the passion and the respect for the people.
And you listed all of the firsts when you became mayor. And I know we've been talking about race, but let's not again talk, forget about the fact that you were also a woman, trying to break through here. Did you feel pressure when you won that, I'm going to be judged in a way that, a white male mayor may not be judged because we've had a history of white male mayors? Did you feel pressure?
I did, right? And not only did I feel the pressure from myself, I felt the pressure from others. I was told that I shouldn't be the face of the town. They didn't like the way I wore my hair. They didn't like my voice. Not only am I a mayor and a public service, I'm also a minister. So those stigmas was thrown at me as well. And not just from residents, but also from colleagues. If I raise my voice, it's me being angry or me being too aggressive. So I do believe that I am judged differently because I am a woman, because I am a Black woman, because I am a Caribbean-born woman. So that also plays into, do I really want to put myself out there like that? And I don't think I thought about that until it actually started happening. When you're being told that, oh, we have to watch you, we have to control you. I'm like, you would have never said that to a man. You'd have never said it to a white man. So why are you saying it to me? And those are the hurtful parts, right? Because being the mayor of Bloomfield is a voluntary position. It's not something that I'm being paid for. And I can tell you, I probably spend more time being the mayor of Bloomfield than I do at my actual job. So when my 9 to 5, 8 to 4 is done, then mayor will take place, and it's a job, So that was hurtful, and it still is. It still is, because I do believe that I'm being judged very unfairly, and they would have never, ever said it or done it to a man, and definitely not a white man.
And I, when you started to talk about some of the judgments, I did want to ask you, it sounds like you obviously believe that that's a hurdle for other candidates. I mean, even just the way you talk, the way you wear your hair, for people, this is an audio media, but she doesn't exactly look like she's homeless. She looks like she's put together. So, it's just about trying to assimilate into certain expectations. Did you ever think about quitting, or did you ever regret at some points, this isn't what I signed up for?
So I never thought about quitting, and I never thought about regret, because I do believe Black and brown people need to have a voice at the table. I do believe that the less privileged needs to have a voice at the table. So there was no regret, but there were days of sadness. There were days of sadness that I am not being seen as valued. I'm not being seen as an educated woman, right? Because I do have a master's degree and an honorary doctorate degree. As I've stated, I've served my community, so I didn't just pop on the scene. But I don't believe that I was judged for the content of my character as much as I was judged for being a Black female woman that sometimes wanted to wear her hair straight, sometimes wanted to put on a wig or put braids in my hair, who I don't listen to myself speak, but I hear that I speak pretty decently. I've heard that I've had good diction. So I think the way I show up for my community, I couldn't understand why I was being judged for superficial things. And it was some kind of sin or crime for me to show up in my most authentic way. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that then. And even when it happens today, I still don't understand it.
And coming up in part 2, we're going to be talking with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities about a program they're putting on to help other possible interested candidates in overcoming some of these hurdles that Suzette had to overcome. Suzette, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so very much.